Enter the crib. Your Strike Back sit rep starts in 3, 2, 1. Wait, do we go on 0?
All right, welcome back, Mebers. We are really excited. We are bringing back the Meber Roundtable. So we have 5 amazing Mebers on top of Deb and myself today. So if you guys can go around and introduce yourselves and tell us how long you've been a fan of Strike Back. Can't point at you because you're all in different places on everybody's screen.
Zoe, start us off.
Hi, I'm Zoe. I've been a fan for years. I loved the original and then the rebirth last 3 years ago. It's gotten better and better every year.
Hi, I'm David. I've been a fan since the first season US. Picked it up late in the season. I saw it on Cinemax, watched it all, I think, that weekend, and went back and watched the first season, the Chris Ryan's Strike Back, which I think is how they call it here in the US, or the prequel in the US, even though it's season 1. And I've been a fan ever since, and want more.
Feel that.
Hi, I'm a newbie. I have never done a podcast. Literally anything could happen. But yeah, I have been a fan of Strike Back to the origin days, really. Richard Armitage, Andrew Lincoln, and Robson Green. Loved it back then. So yeah, and then picked up with the reboot. So I can't remember most of it from back then, but I'll give this a good shot.
You'll do great.
Hi, I'm Kim. I sort of came a little bit later to the party. I joined more when the rebirth happened, but I did go back and binge all of the old shows as well, and both are equally amazing. And I'm also happy to be part of the crib too.
Woohoo!
Woo! Jem is the baby of the group. I have gone back and watched them all, but I became a fan due to a certain little person called Jamie Banda. Don't know if you've heard of him. When he joined the team, I started watching, and yeah, but I have gone back and watched all of the others. So I have watched the Scott and Stonebridge years as well. But yes, I'm the baby of the group who only started with Silent War. But hello.
Deb, should you reintroduce yourself? Do you think everybody knows us?
Sure. Yeah. I'm Deb, and I've been a fan since the Richard Armitage days. And was thrilled when my favorite actor was announced as being a part of the first reboot, playing Stonebridge, and was already a fan also of Sullivan Stapleton because I'm a serious Aussie television addict. And, the rest is history. I can't even tell you how many times I've rewatched everything. We're talking 70, 80 times.
Yeah. You pick up on a lot of details that way.
A lot of details. And Kelsey!
Yeah, and I'm Kelsey, and I started watching actually the second year of Philip and Sully, and then didn't actually go back and watch Origins until this past year, and I call myself a super fan, but yeah, basically just never did. So yeah, all right, so that is who you guys are going to be hearing from today. We're going to talk about all our favorite moments, and we are so excited. So let's kick it off with your fight.
Wait, do we all have our masks on? We all have our masks on.
It's in the car.
Oh, I'm sorry. You'll have to leave. You're too close, David.
Yeah, okay, I hope you're all staying safe, and that joke, and hopefully in 2 years, is no longer going to be relevant. God, please let it no longer be relevant. Okay, you threw me off, Deb. God damn it.
Thank God for editing.
All right, let's kick it off with your favorite fight of the season, and we are going to go to Zoe first. What was your fight?
Thanks, Kels.
You're welcome.
Favorite fight of the year season. Raven's one shot in episode. It was one of the best. It was so dark. You could see she was just trying to fight for her life, and it was a case of you saw her face go, oh, more people to kill, more people to fight. When the hell are the rest of them going to get there? Lynn's just a little. She's not Mac's not wrong when he calls her a weapon, is he?
Yeah.
You know, she's just like a little powerhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. All right, Gemma.
Well, Zoe knows I'm kind of going off on a tangent here with, I thought think outside the box because
Think outside the box, because get Bamber
like
in there
thinking outside
somehow,
the box.
Gemma. Come on.
My favorite fight, for sheer stupidity, was the Coltrane and Wyatt fight from episode 9. Just for the sheer fact it was so ridiculous. It was like two children just having fisticuff fight, and it was just that tension needed to be broken, that Wyatt Coltrane tension, which I think has been running like since Silent War, and I just think it was the best way to do it because it was honestly the most ridiculous thing I've seen, and it still makes me laugh. I've rewatched it so many times, it still makes me laugh. And then obviously that means we got the best line of the season from Lynn afterwards as well. So for me, it was that ridiculous fight.
All right, Louise.
I mean, how do you guys narrow these things down? Because I wrote about 6 for these fight scenes. The one that obviously stood out majorly was the casino one right at the end for me. I mean, she just launches herself off a mezzanine. What is more ludicrous than that?
Yeah.
What is more over the top? They're in a casino. Who smashes up a casino? It for me that it just really stood out. She brought her A game. It was near the end, so it was her moment really to round it all off. I absolutely loved it. Another one that stood out just because it was just funny was where she twats the guy around the head with a frying pan. I just thought, you see, I find the humour. I just love the humour in Strike Back, and it's just those little moments. While it might not have been a dramatic fight scene, she finishes them off with a frying pan, and I just thought it was brilliant. So yeah, I did find that hard to narrow down, but they were the two that I absolutely loved.
Nice. All right, Kim.
Yeah, that was a really hard. Yeah, I agree with Louise. There's so many ones to choose from that were so amazing this year. I had also picked Novin in Danny's apartment, the same as Zoe, but I also have to say the oneer with Mac when he's at the shores of Temple Estates was amazing. It was brutal. There's so much action. The way the camera was moving, it made you just felt like you were there, and you should be firing on things too. And the music, and you could barely breathe watching it go along, like knowing something is not going to go well to this. It's sort of kind of emotional and fight together. Like the tension building as he's going through this gigantic property and just engaging when he's not supposed to. And yeah, it was just incredible.
Yeah. You're going to make me get all choked up before we even get to an emotional moment. All right, David, come on. Give us something not emotional, please.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Honorable mention to me is the casino. Like Louise said, I thought that was very good, and I was kind of surprised that was put in there last minute, and I thought it was great. But I'm like Zoe, and I think a lot of us are big fans of the episode 4 staircase Nova weapon. You're a kid, you're a weapon kid. Like when Max said that, and it was great. The stuntman in there who kept the blood capsule in his mouth when he hit the wall and it splattered everything. I think just brought a lot to it. It was phenomenal, and that's why that was my favorite for fight of the year, or best fight so far this season.
Yeah, that's so good. All right, Deb.
Definitely, every fight on my list is a Novin fight. I think that Alin just absolutely destroyed the fight scenes this year, and probably one of my favorite aspects of the season this year was all of the sort of homage and throwback to different movies and things that had happened in previous seasons. To me, it's almost like Jack and the director sat around and said, well, what can we take from the raid? And what's your favorite movie? Okay, La Femme Nikita, let's throw that kitchen scene in, that there was just so much of that, and it's so cool. But I definitely have to give it to the raid fight in the staircase by Novin. That was just incredible.
Yeah, that was going to be my pick as well, but since you all talked about it, I will say uh, maybe not a technical hand-to-hand fight, but the assault at the beginning of episode 7 when you have all the helicopters and everybody's in uniform and you have, Wyatt is like a sniper and that whole thing was so cool, and to see Paul Bittis in there, that was just, it was a cool kind of throwback to when, Section 20 used to actually be a sort of military unit. I love I thought that was a great scene and felt like a really good way to transition from the sort of devastation of 6 and finding that like fun again. So that was mine.
Hey everyone, what's your favorite emotional moment? Let's start with Louise.
Well, I mean, there could only ever be one, couldn't there? Mac's gut-wrenching death, where blood is spewing out of his neck, but it's not really a scene, is it? It's a whole episode. It's not just a scene, and it kind of starts for me. It starts when he's in the therapy office and he starts crying. I think that's the bit for me where my bottom lip kind of went. Because I think as well the camera's so close to him, you can see the pain in his eyes and the anguish. It's so raw. I mean, PTSD as a subject is raw anyway, so that how they tackled that was just incredible. And I think it's a scene that you just want to watch again and again and again. And I've probably watched it about 4 times. You can just feel the pain, and I think the rawest part about it is possibly Novin right at the end, where she holds onto the wall. I think if you were to say to an actor, right, how show us what it feels like to lose somebody, that is it. And if you could hand out an award probably this season, it would be to Elaine for that. How she depicts that moment, it's just utterly incredible. And I think anyone who's ever been in that position can feel that. Obviously, it's Warren, so I'm going to be interested in episode 6. He just acts his socks off, and there could only ever be one. So that is my emotional scene, definitely.
Gemma, which Coltrane scene was your most emotional?
Listen, if Louise is allowed to be Warren biased, I'm allowed to be Bella biased. This is all I'm saying. No, actually, he is involved in this, and I do kind of have 2. Can I have like a little teeny additional one at the end? Right, here we go. My emotional why am I laughing? My emotional moment was the end of episode 8 with the killing of Zayef. Obviously not the killing of Zayef. We all wanted that dickhead to die. But it was the whole thing from the point of Novin going in on her own and almost about to like kill him. And then boys coming in and calling her Gracie. Every time they called her Gracie this season, my heart was just like, because it was just like, it just sounds so innocent when they call her that. And it was just, I don't know, I think that was the moment where Mac's death came to a head for them all. And then obviously you had like Zayef baiting them and them all just getting more and more and more just to the point where you're going to lose control, and then obviously Coltrane did. And I just thought it was really beautifully done by all of them. I just think it was a moment where they kind of came together, and then obviously it all started going a bit wrong in episode 9. But it was just, for me, it was a really emotional moment where they had all reached that point where they were grieving for Mac, I think. So for me, I just felt that was really emotional. And can I have my little extra one, pretty please?
Yeah.
My extra
We might
one.
edit it out, but at least
I'm not edit it out. I'm picking up Bamba. I'm allowed to pick up Bamba. Can I point out the Coltrane and Wyatt hug after Wyatt rescues him in episode 10, which Dan let us know was Jamie's idea and it wasn't actually scripted, and that literally tears at my heart every time I see it, because you never see Coltrane as vulnerable really, and I think at that moment he was, and it was just really beautifully done. So those are my emotional moments. Thank you.
Is that the screenshot on your computer?
Sophie has screenshotted it there, to be fair.
Hey, David, what was yours? Let's make David cry.
Yeah, no. This is why I don't cry. I don't see it more than once. I can't see it more than once. I watch it. I've watched every episode, like everybody here, probably multiple times. I can't watch that scene again of Mac, what they all meant to him, and they came for you, man. They came for you.
Yeah.
So that's the part there. I'm assuming everybody has that one there. But I have one outside the box one, or not outside, but another one. Really, it's something. It was actually my honorable mention for WTF, but it's Novin with a bag.
Oh yeah.
Her breaking. She broke, and I didn't see that coming. And first of all, I don't know how that went through on television, even though paid or U.S. anywhere. That they've let that much go having it. I don't know how she got talked into doing it. I don't know how Bill Eagles and Jack talked her into doing it, but that was a person who broke. That was a person who was beat. That was a person who basically gave up. And you never see that ever from her. You've seen it from Sarkova 3 times last year, but it's a different story. But you never saw it from her. You never saw it from her, and that is, like I said, it was my honorable mention for what TF because I didn't think how they talked her into it. But it's really my emotional moment because we all have Mac, obviously what he meant to the team and what that happened in that scene, and they all mostly were raw, and you could see it. And like I said, I can only see it once or maybe twice. But the bag scene was mine. I've never seen her break, and she broke, and you never seen anybody break on that show, really, like that.
Am I right in thinking that it was a Lynn's idea?
No.
I don't know.
No, it was scripted, but
yeah. You gotta get talked into
she was all for it. She was like, let's go for it.
But yeah, they all had talked about how terrible it was because she's actually, she's really happening, and they said it was awful.
So that was
good choice. Yeah, good choice, David. How about you, Zoe?
Well, everyone spoke about my top 3, and we're not even going into episode 6 because I can't watch that episode. But no, I agree with Louise and Jem and David. But I think my backup one would probably be episode 2 when they're waiting for Mac to respond once the train's been blown up, because each single member of that team looked like horrified that one of their own was on that train, and it's Coltrane's Mac McAllister. Are you there? Talked, and the relief on their faces when he does speak, and you see him get up, you sort of go, whew. They had that thing, and it shows how much they've grown since as a family and as a team. That they're not willing to leave one behind, even though it means on sort of like a bad angle to carry on with the mission. But I agree with everyone else for what they said so far, because this season has been emotionally destroying.
Yeah. Tell us about it. We cried for weeks and weeks and weeks waiting for you guys to find out.
Oh my god. I think we saw, Louise and Zoe both tweeted things about, in the first few episodes about, don't let Mac die. And we were both like, oh my god.
I mean, every day messages between us going, I know, I'm so
Did you see them tweet this? It's going to be terrible.
Warren always ends up brown bread, doesn't he? So I kind of knew the writing was on the wall, definitely. And I think because he'd not had really, apart from the revenge when they killed his men in season 6, he'd not really had a backstory. So I kind of knew it was on the cards. Wasn't expecting episode 6, but we won't go there. Kind of hoping it might be a bit later, but there you go. Thanks, Jack.
Kels?
Kim. Kim hasn't gone yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kim.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, I gotta try and do this without crying. My emotional moment was actually Novin and Wyatt in episode 7 after Mac's death, and they are behind the rocks. They're taking stock of what's going on. Novin's kind of needling at Wyatt about his chain of command comment to Chetri, trying to, I think, get some sort of a reaction from Wyatt, and then Wyatt opening up and saying, like, they need to finish this, they need to get their revenge, because part of him is still stuck in that tower with Mac. And then Novin going on to say, blaming herself that she's you let him go off on his own. The two of them, you can see the tears both starting in their eyes. And then, Novin sort of finishing off when she's like, you're Bravo 1 now, like, to Wyatt. And it just, I don't know, that part always gets me. There was one other honorable mention that I wanted, was Mac, Novin, and Wyatt together in the sunlight outside doing their drinks together. And it kind of, Wyatt saying, we came for you, that, Mac saying how hard he tried to hang on. The interesting thing is their drink, when you watch episode 5, as Mac got out of the vehicle with Chetri and Novin to go into the building, into the stock exchange, Wyatt had turned to him and said, drinks at sundown. And, that was sort of their drinks at sundown. And then, the comment with when Zarkova had left about the dead don't get to drink. And, they said, Coltrane, I believe it was, said, she does this time. And sort of Mac got his chance to have the dead got their drink this time too. So, anyway, those are my two. I kind of cheated like Gemma.
It's not cheating when we all do it. Kels?
Okay. I like breathe through it. It's gonna be okay. So, I mean, my first instinct is 6, obviously. Mac in the therapist chair when she's like, "What do you hear?" And he hears them coming, and it's not just him; it's seeing then the flash, the team, and Wyatt's like, "Hang on!" That screaming from Dan while Mac is listening, just, to me, gets me every time. But we've talked about that a lot. So we've talked about episode 6, I think, a lot. So I will say 9, Chetri.
You just stole mine. I've
picked up bad habits from them. And that little smile. I'll let you have the death, Deb. How about that? It was the smile for me. It was the, I know I'm about to die, but I just fucked you over, because I learned how to do that from the team. And Damachi's kind of like proud smile back. This very strange moment between our baddie and our hero of like, I fucked you, and the baddie being like, good job, like, to each other. That moment was so stellar to me. God, they're just so good. They're so good, and both give so much in that moment. Deb, what happens after that?
Well, I had that whole scene between Chetri and Damachi. That entire thing was amazing. But probably the emotional moment, at least for me, and Jack just did this season so brilliantly, and he kind of broke us in episode 6, and then everything was just one more nail in the coffin as we were going along, more and more and more. And it, without doubt for me, was that split moment of hope that she had, that they were going to rescue her, and then realizing that they couldn't, and that, she had done the right thing, and now it's over. But just that little brief second of hope that Jack dangled out there for her was devastating. Thank you, Jack. And I also had a sort of a runner-up in the Zayef execution scene, and how really it showed you how brilliant Zayef was, because he knows what his future is going to be if he lives, that he is going to eventually probably just be tortured to death. And so he used emotion to, chasing the bullet. And he actually won in that scene because he got so under Coltrane's skin that he got him to do exactly what he wanted him to do. So using that emotion and I think he actually probably was sincere in his whole forgiveness speech, but he also knew that it was going to, the little barbs against the team and against Mac along the way were going to be his ticket to sort of redemption through a bullet.
Yeah.
I just thought that was brilliant. But yeah, definitely the Chetri scene for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're on the other side of emotions and fights. And the other thing that we all love Strike Back for is those big reveals, those big mind-blowing moments that you're just like, literally, what the fuck just happened? So, let's talk about what the fuck moments. Kim, what was yours for the season?
My what the fuck moment actually was Chetri's death. It's part of what Deb and Kelsey had been saying. Just her being so brave and facing down Ariana and, seeing the team coming for her, seeing them charging across that open space. Their guns are blazing. They're trying to get that wall down. You see that hope in her face, like they're here, they've got me. They can't get in. And then Ariana so coldly just walks over and assassinates her just right there and then while they're standing there watching and their reactions. And I'm just like, Jack, why are you doing this? Like, why did she have to die too? Like, we had our deaths. Like, don't, it was just, they were so powerless to intervene. And I'm just like this whole scene was just so cold and so, it was emotional, but it was cold. And it was just like, to see her come that close and then just not, the team not be able to pull it out, and they seem to have spent so much of this season back on their heels. Like usually they're the ones giving chase. They're the ones that are forcing the bad guys to react to them. Whereas this season they were always reacting to what was thrown at them rather than actually being able to get that headway against the villains. And that was sort of that. And the other, a small one, was Spencer talking to Coltrane, telling him that he failed and that if Imperia is used, they will have no protection. It was just sort of like, what are you talking about? Like these are your team. You created them for your purposes. They're doing your bidding, and then you're just gonna, turn your back on them. And it was just, it just made me really angry. It was like, what are you saying, James? Like this, why are you doing this? So anyway, those are, I snuck two in again.
That's all right. All right, David.
Okay. I'm also gonna try to sneak two in. Like I said, the first one, my honorable mention or my runner-up, like I said earlier, it was the plastic bag. How the fuck do you agree to that? How does that? Like, how does that conversation go? So we want to put a plastic bag over. It's safe. Don't worry about it. What? Bill Eagles drinks. I don't know what's happening. I'm not doing it. I don't know. God bless her. She did it. I couldn't. But my real what the fuck moment, and it's kind of like outside the box, and I think Gemma will like this. I think is Coltrane. You didn't show up. You didn't show up Istanbul. How do you not show up? You Zarkova Istanbul. Sounds like a good weekend to me. I don't if not a week if you play your cards right. I don't know how you not show up. And I think Zarkova said, or at least in the podcast she was talking about earlier, that she believes she showed up.
Yeah.
So come on, man.
Yeah.
What the and I also say, like, that block for me was probably one of the funnest ones I've had in a while to watch, because them earlier in that block all going to the party, Cheddar's all dressed up in red. She looks good in red. Jamie Bamber, man, you look good in a lint suit. Always got a great tan.
I'm not going to disagree.
And Zarkova, black dress, high slit. Where do you hold a weapon? Where do you put a weapon at? That looks great. Yeah, that was mine. That was my what the F right there.
And let's not forget Tonya. Come on.
Yes. The leather pants. Yes.
All right, Gemma. What's your follow up to that then?
Well, I know that this is going to be really crazy for you. I've got feedback now. It isn't a Coltrane moment. What the fuck?
What?
That's done. What the fuck? Hold the front page, people. No, well, he's kind of involved in he's kind of involved. My what the fuck moment was a Chetter's double cross. So obviously she's double crossed, and we're all like, what the hell, Chetters? But you kind of could see that one coming. And then obviously there's that moment when James has been shot and Coltrane's like, you've got the intel, you need to get it, safe. And she's like, I will. And I'm like, yes, Chetters, trust the boss. And then she goes and double crosses, and I just wasn't expecting that. So I think that whole end of that episode, I was like, no, what the fuck? What? No, don't do that. No, what? You can trust him. He's a bit rogue and that, but aren't you used to that yet? It's like kind of their thing. So yeah, that was my what the fuck moment. Just because I was expecting the initial. But then after that, the way that she said to him, I'll get it safe, sir. And she sounded so sincere. And then it was like, all of a sudden, no, actually, no, I'm not. And it's like, whoa, okay. Where did that come from? So yes, that was mine.
Yeah, that was a big what the fuck moment. All right, Zoe.
There was too many to choose from this year. There was just so many of them. Mine's a little bit out of the box. I only watched the finale about 3 days ago. Novin getting shot as they escaped on the boat. I was like, what the fuck, Jack? Why would you do this? Like, why would you shoot her this close to the end? We've already lost Mac, we've already lost Chetters. You've kind of made it so that Darkover can't come back from any of this. What are you getting out of shooting Novin? And then that follow-up scene in the forest where she's falls and Coltrane catches her, and it's just like that. What the fuck, Jack? Why are you putting us through this last bit of anguish just so that you can be like, oh, but she lives. She lives a bit later. Don't worry, she does survive. We just want to make you all on the edge of your seat for the next 25 minutes.
That was cute. I like that little. Oh, but she lives. That's cute. All right, Louise. What about you?
I wrote down for this, Ariana DiMacci, what a bitch. It's there, right. Because, her whole character for me was what the fuck. She starts off quite unassuming as Ivana does. She's a brilliant actress. Loved her in Banshee. Massive girl crush on Ivana. She's just incredible. She starts off very unassuming. She's very typical Albanian gang mother. I'm going to tend to your wounds, and I don't like you being with these people. And then a few episodes later, she's slotting her son with a knife ruthlessly in cold blood. Not even a flinch. Not even a oh, I'm so sorry. It's just doof. She slotted it. That was the what the fuck for me, because it was immediately then you kind of go, hang on a minute, there's only one type of person that kills like that, and that is a special forces operator. So you then, even if you've not picked up on any signals, which I never do, because that's me, that's the what the fuck, because there's something more to this woman. She's not who she says she is. And then obviously it goes on to welcome back, soldier.
Yeah.
Do terrible accents, by the way. And then she's bloody Russian. I think Warren put on his Twitter quite hilariously that his mother had said exactly the same thing. Bloody Russian all along. All along. Yeah, I just thought that was strike back gold. Absolutely, and I loved that. So that was my what the fuck.
Yeah, good. All right, Deb.
Yeah, I had several written down. All of them were DiMacci. any episode she was in, we pretty much got a what the fuck moment out of Damachi, and especially the reveal of her as a Russian agent. I mean, we've had some awesome reveals in every season, but that was the one that just came out of nowhere. Like, what? She's what? Another dirty, rotten Russian bastard. But my major what the fuck moment was the truck. What the fuck? The truck. That's all I have to say because I've said it before, but that fucking truck. Just take the truck. Kelsey?
Right. Okay. So I would say episode 8 as a whole for me, like the Cheddar's double cross, Ariana kills her son. The Russian thing, I've never been so shocked on Strike Back as that. I did not see that coming from a mile away. But I'm actually going to say my biggest what the fuck, it's like my only complaint about the entire season, because I think this season has been stellar, is Wyatt's change of heart in the finale. And that we saw him in episode 9, like brutally killing that Russian spy. And that look on Dan's face, I mean, he went some super dark place to do that, he's just so good. And I think didn't have quite as much emotional chance this year as he did last year, but that was intense. And then we pick up and he's like, no, I tried that, I don't want to do it anymore, yay, butterflies and happy, and I'm not going to kill anybody, and I'm not in it for the money. And I was like, what the fuck happened to Wyatt? Like, I guess my what the fuck is really literally my only complaint with the season is I think that was, I still don't understand what the fuck happened. So
because I remember saying to you when we were watching live, I remember like obviously Sir Coltrane like suggests it, and I even tweeted, I was like, well, Wyatt's going to be up for that, and then it was like, ah! Yeah,
because it seems it was weird. So that's my biggest what the fuck. So Deb, oh no, you already went. Like so.
The fucking truck, Kelsey! It's the fucking
truck! And I just point out, he wanted to drive a bird. That's why he didn't take the truck.
Wait, what did you say?
He wanted to show his little bird riding skills. That's why
oh
they
my
didn't take
god,
the
it sounds like you're saying a bird. I was like, ride a bird. Tweet, 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 tweet. A bird.
What version
I
did you
heard
see?
bird also.
I apologize for my accent.
Yeah.
I have a very flat accent. I am from the north. I said boat. Boat.
Now say smoke.
All right.
Well, I can't smoke either.
So as you guys know, we have been super lucky to have an incredible cast and crew who have supported fans and this podcast in a really amazing way. And I think even though it's been happening for 2 years, Deb and I still, when they will say, we listened, and then get really specific about something that we said to show that they listened, we're always like, oh my God,
they listened.
I can't believe that. You know,
Really are listening.
Yeah, it's like it's extremely touching. It's very appreciated. So we thought we would give this opportunity to you guys to say, give a message to them, to say thanks, or what the fuck, or we love you, or we hate you, or whatever it is you would like. So this little next segment goes out to all the cast and crew of Strike Back, and we thank you guys. So we are gonna kick off this time with Louise.
Oh, no pressure. I would say actually to Jack, thank you for how you dealt with PTSD. It's without going too deep, I've got a family member who suffers from PTSD, and it's quite a strong link because he actually served in the Balkans, like Coltrane. So this season in particular for me was very personal, and I'd like to thank him for how they dealt with it, because I think it was super sensitive and quite beautiful, and also it needs highlighting. It's a huge problem. And thank you for how he dealt with it. It was absolutely amazing. Warren, if you ever fancy following me on Twitter, it's not an issue. Just, hit the follow button. I'll take a screenshot. If you want to knock me off after that, that's fine. But I can then pretend to everybody that you follow me.
Please, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Do you want to give them your address and
That's hilarious. Okay, fair. All right, Gemma.
Oh, God. Okay. So, as I said at the beginning, I started watching Strike Back because Jamie was joining the cast, and then set up Jamie Bamber Fans because there was all of this incredible behind the scenes stuff that we were getting, and there was nothing there to get it out to fans and to support Jamie. So that's why I set it up, and he knows this. I've told him enough times, but his performances have meant a lot to me in helping me deal with my own anxieties and insecurities, and so for him to join a program and then a cast who are just absolutely just incredible and so warm and so welcoming, each and every single one of them, I think I have had interactions with because of this program. And then not only that, but then meeting you lovely lot, who I am sure are going to be friends for life. It's just to discover like-minded people because of a show that brings us all together. Like I keep saying, 20 are a family, and we are an extension of that family, and they've just welcomed us in so much. So I'm just very grateful, firstly, to Jamie for joining this incredible show and giving us the wonder that was Alexander Coltrane, but also just to everyone, and to Jack, just thank you so much for just being awesome. That's it.
Zoe.
Oh God, I'm not going to destroy Kels, I promise. I don't want to make you emotional. No, I just want to say thank you to the entire cast, the entire crew. You saw what they got up to behind the scenes. You saw how much training they put in, the time they spent away from their families, their kids, everything they put in. Even whilst they were still filming, they were still training to bring us the best Strike Back. And for someone who, when they first watched Retribution, went, nah, they aren't Stonybridge, to now literally be sobbing at every episode this season says a lot. And I think a lot of it is down to the cast. They're incredible. The fact that they interact with us, that you and Debs have had the pleasure of talking to so many of them, and that you give it to us as an extension of that is amazing. And like Gemma said, I am so very grateful for having you lot in my life, so that even when the times are a bit shit, as they are sometimes, I have somebody that I can talk to, who I can get everything off my chest, and to whom you can all do back to me. And as Gemma said, we will be lifelong friends. I can see many more Christmas card groups and other celebrations coming forward in the future. So thank you to not just to cast and crew, but to all of you as well.
All right, Kim.
Okay. I could try to do this without crying. I had to write it down. The Strike Back has been a show unlike anything else. It's been amazing to watch, but it was also a show that you could savor it. You could go back and watch it again and discover another whole level to the show. And I mean, that's down a lot to Jack and his clever writing. It's just been amazing. I'll never get tired of rewatching these episodes. To the group of actors, Mac, Wyatt, Novin, Coltrane, Cheddars, I couldn't imagine a better group. I couldn't imagine anyone doing a better job. I just want to thank you for bringing these characters to life.
We broke him.
Just want to thank them for bringing these characters to life and for all their hard work and dedication and sacrifice. It really is truly appreciated. To the whole cast and crew, past and present, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. There's been many happy hours watching the show, talking about the show. Again, forged some amazing friendships that I will always treasure. Thank you seems so inadequate, actually. And Deb and Kels, thank you for including me in the crib. For doing the podcast. You guys are amazing. You brought a whole new level to the show. And I'm out.
Okay, David. Save us all, David. Save us all.
Okay, I'll try. First, start with the words thank you. Thank you to all. Thank you to you ladies for doing this for us. Thank you to the show. And when I mean the show, I mean the cast, the crew. I started watching the show years ago. Obviously, like I said before, the first season, and there's always been a different feel about the show. I started following MJ Bassick and what he did with the show, and gave me the behind-the-scenes stuff that I needed and the cringe for, because I just need that stuff when it comes to TV shows that I get into. Thank you to Jack. Thank you, Jack, for continuing Strike Back as Strike Back, bringing back old crew members, keeping certain crew members, casting the right people, the right crew, the bringing in the right people, to continue Strike Back, to keep it the way it was. We all know the show evolves in certain ways, and certain things have happened to the show, but it's still Strike Back, and it always will be Strike Back to me. Thank you to Warren Brown for leaking the trailer for the first season. That was like, oh my god, this is so happy for this. I'm so happy for this. Thank you to the ladies that are on the show. You all prove that you can lead an action show. You can lead an action movie. And I think that's great for everybody. I think the world needs that, and should get more of that. Lynn, how you're not a superhero next season somewhere, you should be. Cheddars, everybody, Sarkova, everybody who played in the shows. Thanks to Dan McPherson. When I saw he got cast, I was like, I think I know who that guy is. I think he's the guy from AVB. And then I started following him, and he gave us so much behind-the-scenes content that I love and needed. And he started replying, and he answers fans, and watching his IG lives after the show was great. And it was like the highlight. Like, you got the show, you got the IG live with Dan, and then the next morning you wake up and you got the podcast. I'm great. I'm good. Good for the week. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you to the other people that don't. To the editors, the cameraman, Sean Murray, you're unbelievable. Your work is crazy good. I do work a little bit in TV, so I just to see what he does and see the behind the scenes stuff is unbelievable. To see the way Bill Eagles and all these other directors they brought into the show work and have their own 2 episodes and content and continually keep it together. That's just unbelievable for me to see that the continuity, and from season to season, getting more people, and everybody still be Strike Back is great to see. And thank you again for everybody for letting me have that for 10 years of my life.
All right, Deb.
Oh gosh, Kels. Yeah, how do you start that? And we've said our thank yous to Jack, but I think just thank you for letting us in. Thank you for trusting us. And thank you for listening. And now I'm going to cry. Thank you, especially to all the behind the scenes people. I think if there's any show on television that really makes it clear that it isn't just the actors, that, the actors are sort of the cherry on top, that this really is an enormous team who puts this show together. And we've known that for 10 years. There's always been that give and take between cast and crew, that all the pieces that go into this show. And thank you to all the people on the crew who were so willing to come out and talk about what they do, to Bill Eagles, to Paul Wilmshurst, to all the directors, the camera guys, the makeup person, producers, editor. Oh my God, that was like, who would have thought that one of the best interviews we had was from the editor? but people that nobody thinks about who were so willing and so giving when they came on the show, and especially to the actors who trusted us with so much. Okay, Kelsey?
Okay, so I'll say first, Deb, thank you. Because I came to you a couple of years ago and said, hey, I have a wild idea. What if we did a podcast? And you said yes without question. So thank you. And thank you for being the best Strike Back podcaster partner I could ever hope for. To Jack, thank you for, again, a wild idea of this fan that you had interacted with a few times saying to you, hey, we're going to do a podcast. You want to be our guest? And maybe share some facts. And he was like, yeah, I'll share facts every single episode and introduce you to anybody else you want to talk to. And like, just went so far above and beyond, and is genuinely like the nicest man in the entertainment business. I just cannot, just amazing. And thank you to all the crew that supported us from the beginning, Nuala and Fraser and Andy Morgan, and coming on and chatting with us. Andy reached out to us to tell us he was a producer. That was amazing. That was mind-blowing. Deb and I were like, holy shit, somebody likes us enough to want to come on. Like, that was incredible. And Michael Wood for like just cracking us up in his incredible, just everybody. And of course, Barada and Alin and Jamie and Dan and Warren for being the absolute most amazing, open, welcoming cast that we could have ever hoped for. You're so talented. We will be there. We cannot wait to see what's next. Thank you for letting us be a little part of your family. And to all the fans, and especially the fans on our roundtable, thank you guys for supporting this little fucking podcast. It was like the first time anybody listened, we were like, oh my God, people might listen to this. And it has blown up, and we just never expected that it would be what it is. So anyways, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And that's a wrap on Strike Back.
Thanks, and tune in next week for another Need to Know session at the Crib. Follow us on Twitter @StrikebackCrib. Out.